Let's see what's happening. I hit the button and we are live. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? It's a wonderful Friday here in Pace Morby Universe. We have our wonderful host, Carly. Carly, how you doing?
I'm so good. It's so good to see you. I'm always good when I see Derek Smith.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It was good to see you. In fact, you know what, Carly? Today, I did this today. True story. So I am a social media nerd, and I happened to stumble across your YouTube channel. I did. I came to your
it's not a good one.
It's okay. You're so funny. No, I do research all day, every day. And so I was like, what's Carly's YouTube look like? So I went to your YouTube, I found it. And I want to say this. I loved that not the welcome video. It's the first video you did with Pace at that house.
Yes.
And the energy, I was like, oh my God, this is so good. Okay, so yeah, we'll talk off. Yeah, seriously, I really dug it. I loved it. Love the numbers.
That's a huge compliment coming from you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I really liked it. And for those in the chat right now, we have a wonderful guest today that we're very happy to have on. Our second guest just showed up, Mr. Lance Villarreal, but we have Mr. Phillip Warwick in the building. Phillip, how's it going, brother?
Going great. Thanks for asking. Having a great time. How about you guys?
Doing good. Absolutely. Now we have Lance that just jumped on. He's one of our also awesome guests today. Lance, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
There he is. Awesome. My God.
I'm having technical issues today. Right when you don't want it to, then we're having bad storms here. My internet's crapping out. I apologize.
No. You're good, brother. You are so good. Lance, question for you. Lance, do you have an IG?
I do have an IG.
What is your IG, Lance?
Should be just Lance Villarreal. Give me 1 second. Yes, Lance Villarreal _.
Okay, and how does that look on the screen? Does that look perfect?
I actually can't see it. Join the chat. Give me a second.
Okay.
Connect. So it's double L and double R for certain. It's always the double R that people might miss.
Okay, I think I got it. What you think? I think I got it.
Chat's not popping up on my end again. Apologize.
He renamed you right there on the screen.
Yes, right there on the screen for you. Right there on the screen, on your screen.
That's correct.
That's correct. Okay, beautiful. And the reason why we put that there, Lance, as I was explaining to Phillip, was we want you and Phillip to be harassed by these wonderful people in this community because you are about to receive questions from the wonderful host, Miss Carly Grunman, who's going to ask you questions and you're going to explain your expertise to the audience and myself, and we're all going to fall in love with you, brother. So got to have your handle there, man. So I'm glad you're here and able to join us. We always have technical difficulties. Don't worry about it. I want to say to those in the chat, I'm going to put something in the chat, which is a website. I always talk about this every week. There's a wonderful website that we created. It's updated every day, and the .com to the website is there. The website is a wonderful site that shows you the United States of America and where all of the meetups are happening every day, every week. Okay, so I'm gonna put that in the chat for you guys to peruse that and enjoy that. And also I'm going to put the whereispace.com website. If you want to know where Pace is at this very moment, I had the wonderful privilege of hanging out with him. That's not true. I was working while he was in the office. Okay. I was about to make that sound really cool. Like I was hanging out with Pace. No. So Pace is walking through, like a shark, but he was a shark with a smile. But he was in the office today. So we had a good time. But without any further ado, let me let you guys jump into it. Have a good time. Always.
Thank you, Derek. Hi, guys. Good to see you. So they send me
as well.
It's amazing. They send me synopsises on your deals, and I don't like to read them because I like to find out with the audience. So I don't know if this is going to be a good idea or not. But I want to hear about it. Who wants to go first?
Let's go.
It's all you, brother.
All right. Phillip. All right. Let's hear about this. Let us know. Tell us about you. What's your experience? Who is Phillip Warwick? And I'm probably butchering your name, and I'm sorry if I did.
You got it just right. I'm Phillip Warwick. I am a full-time real estate entrepreneur, and I've been doing this for literally full-time 21 years. I went full-time back in December of 2003. I kind of got my start with the old Carlton Sheets home study system. Because 17-year-old senior in high school, I had no cash. So that's kind of how I got started. I bought my first sub-2 deal back in December of 2003, and I didn't even know what a deed was, Carly. I didn't even know what a deed was, but I had a client, and I was telling them about a friend of a friend who was behind on payments and wanted to sell his house to get a fresh start. And he had mentioned like, hey, why don't you just get the deed? And I'm like, what do you mean just get the deed? What does that mean? You know? And so he helped me pick up that house subject to and helped me with the paperwork. He was like a real estate agent in the area.
Amazing.
But that's really kind of how I got my start. And I've been doing creative finance deals for over 20 years and have done hundreds of sub-2 deals, and recently joined the Gator community back a couple of years ago when Pace launched it, and didn't do anything with it. So earlier this year, I kind of dug into the Gator community a little bit more and was watching the updated videos, and I was like, man, I think I'm supposed to be in sub-2. And so I joined sub-2 just about 6 months ago. So here we are.
Nice. So you're in sub-2 and Gator.
That's
and
correct.
this is not your first creative deals. It's not your first rodeo. You have been around the block 20 years. Okay. So, and where are you located?
I'm in Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
And people, you guys can follow him. There's his name right up there on Instagram, the Phillip Warwick Real Estate. All right. Let's hear about this deal that you're going to tell us about. What kind of deal is it? How did you find it? Let's start with that.
Yeah, so the deal that we highlighted was a deal right here in Porte, Texas, which is a southeast suburb of Houston area. Mm-hmm. And this came to me from one of my student partners, right? So I do a lot of coaching and mentoring, and this gentleman actually knew these people from high school, and they were going through a divorce. And the seller he was friends with, but the wife had already moved out, and the husband was staying in the house with his dogs, literally living on an air mattress, behind on payments, pre-foreclosure, divorce. The house needed some work, because of him and the dogs and all of that. But and then he listed with the real estate agent in the middle of us kind of trying to negotiate with him. And they felt like they needed to have an intermediary between the husband and wife, right? Like, hey, I can't just sell it to my friend kind of thing. So we were able to buy that house subject to, got the guy a couple $1,000s in moving money, got the real estate agent paid, and took over the payments on a really, really good loan, exciting VA loan, 2.65% interest rate. So
nice.
Yeah. So
unicorn interest rates. You don't see those anymore.
I know.
So you found it from a friend. I tell everybody the best way to find deals is network with people, build relationships, let people know what you're doing. That's where the best deals come from. Yeah. Okay. So you found it, and what was the deal? It sounds like they were getting why were they selling? Were they getting divorced? What was the pain there? What were the bunnies that you found?
So the bunnies were the divorce, for one, and for two, they were behind on payments. They were, I think it was like almost $16,000 behind, on their mortgage. And obviously that's kind of led through from the divorce, and maybe there was some job loss because he wasn't working either. There may have been some substance abuse, other things like that. You know what I mean? I didn't dig into that much of those details, but yeah, the pain was there. And I say that all the time. Like this is a great industry, a great business, but there needs to be a need to sell, right? When a seller needs to sell, these creative financing offers make sense to them more than so just like, a pretty house that just wants to move out, right? So that's really, an important thing to look for is people that need a solution to a problem. Sometimes I'll say like, hey, the most important thing in that seller's life at this present moment is to sell their house, right? Yeah. And when you find that need and we can fill that need, and not to take advantage of them, but to really be able to solve their problem. So
yeah, I love it. So they had a VA loan. Let's talk about, for those of you, what is a VA loan? A lot of people will say, oh, you can't sub-2. There's a VA loan. So will you talk about what a VA loan is and why people think they can't sub-2 it and how you actually can?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know a lot of people think that we're doing assumptions, right? That we're actually going to go to the bank and go through the whole assumption process, which you can, but that could take several months. And you're basically having to qualify for that loan through that lender. But a VA loan is just that, right? It's for veterans that can get these loans, and they usually put little or nothing down, right? They get really, really good interest rates. And for whatever reason, even in the community, I hear this a lot. Can we do VA loans? Can we do VA loans? And this isn't the first VA loan that I've done, but VA loans are actually my favorite because the interest rates are usually really, really good. They're the best, So doing these VA loans is, and I remember I mentioned I bought my first sub-2 deal in 2003. Mm-hmm. Every now and then it would be like every other year I'd get a great interest rate that was like in the 3% rates, right? Because back then the rates were like they are now, 6-7% interest, right?
Yeah.
And we made it work back then, but every, once or twice a year, I'd get a low interest rate loan like this, and I would run to that lead, right? But now today, it's like, man, these are coming across my desk almost daily, especially if you're in the Subto community and watching the leads that people are moving. So it's every day. It's exciting.
And one of the biggest objections with VA loans is like it's like given by the Veterans Association, and they have so many entitlements and they can't move on without it. So, okay, so this is a VA loan with 2.625 interest rate.
That's
And
right.
tell me about it. So we found the bunnies, and then how much were they? They were behind. They had arrears. They were behind on payments. So what did you do with that? Did you buy it? Did you sell it? What was you found the bunnies? They were all good to go on Subto. Then what?
Yeah, we bought it. And my student partner, he's actually one of my private money partners, right? And so he brought the capital as well. And so, we bought the property, we took it down, and we, gave them some moving money, like I said, closed out a title company, everything done above board like we're supposed to, and actually used a transaction coordinator that I've met through the community. And yeah, so we bought that house, we fixed it up, and we put it up for rent. We've got a long-term tenant in there, and believe it or not, it cash flows because of the great rent interest rate, and just doing a long-term rental at $2,000 a month, and our PITI is only 16, 17 a month, so we're making just under 400 a month on that monthly cash flow.
So you bought it. You were the end buyer.
That's right.
That's amazing. That's always nice. That's why people like Subto deals, because the lower the interest rate, usually the lower the payments, and then they can cash flow. But what's even better is you guys caught up. You brought. So did you guys pay? You paid, I'm assuming, closing costs. You got them caught up on their arrears. So if they were to sell traditionally this house, they would have to pay for probably 2 agents, because usually the seller pays for the agents, right?
Right.
So did you pay for their agent that they wanted?
Yes, we did. We actually paid the agent $5,000.
Nice. So the agent got paid. They got their representation, so it was fair for them.
Yep.
You paid back what they owed. You gave them cash in their pocket, which is very rare, which is, if they were to sell traditionally, they would probably be having to write a check at the end of the day on this.
You're
if
right.
There was no equity.
Yeah.
And help them move on.
Absolutely.
And you got a great new asset. That's amazing.
Yes, everybody wins.
Everyone wins. I love it.
And here's the principal pay down, like on our monthly payment, is $439. We're talking a $1,600 PITI payment. $439 of that this month goes towards the principal pay down, right? So not only are we cash flowing close to $400, we're paying down the principal $400. So every month we're building up that much more equity. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you killed it. So how can people, if somebody is watching out in YouTube land or Facebook land, and they're in Texas or they're anywhere, and they want to bring you deals, like, what are you looking for? It sounds like you bought this one. What are you looking for? How can people reach out to you? How can you help people get their first deal too?
Listen, most of my deals come by referral, right? They come from people in the community, and I'm cool with paying assignment fees, right? Because here's the thing. I can go over there and spend all the marketing money myself and do all of the calls and do all of these things, but I'm at a level now where I have to just buy deals, right? So I partner now with private money partners, right? So they bring the capital and I bring the deals, and we partner together on those deals. And I built my business with private money lenders, and paying private money lenders over the years, 8 to 12% was great. And so I started learning about private money partners and why pay instead of partnering with them, right? And 8 to 12% is great for somebody that has some retirement income, some investment capital that they want to put to work, but it's not like something they're going to write home about. They're not going to tell their friends and family about. When I started partnering with my private money lenders, they started finding other capital. Like, oh, hey, I've got this other money over here. Would you be able to put that to work, right? Or, hey, can you put my parents or my cousin? Or, like, they end up having friends, and it's something that they can brag about because they're getting better returns. And they're taking a little bit of the risk with me, right? As opposed to just having a secured 8 to 12%. but it's really opened up opportunities. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people that are out there that have great deals, that can find these deals and get them under contract and give the sellers a fair offer, while at the same time, not expecting to make thousands of dollars on an assignment fee, but they can make a good assignment fee. And private money partners, people that are in the Gator community that have investment capital that they want to put to work. And we are blessed. We literally bought 13 properties in the last 90 days using a combination of private money partners and assignments. And some deals were direct to seller as well, but most of them are assignments from the Gator or from the community. So
I love it. So so Phillip's in both communities, and there's so much money to be made in real estate deals in different places. So like if you just have money that you want to lend to somebody and make money on it, so you're borrowing money, you're making money, you're giving bird dog fees, you're giving assignment fees. Like there is so much money to be made by helping each other in a deal. And that's how we all win.
That's right.
So I love it. So if you got money, if you got deals, Phillip's your man. Anything else on this deal?
Good. We want to hear from Lance. Let's hear from Lance a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Phillip. I appreciate it.
That's exciting.
Howdy, Lance. How are you doing? You're muted. You're muted.
There we go. I apologize.
There you go. Now we can hear you.
It's just not working today. I apologize.
It's Mercury retrograde or something. Something's going on.
I'm doing great though. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm excited to hear about your first. Where are you? First of all, where are you located? Tell us about Lance. Who is Lance? Where are you? How can people reach you? What communities are you part of? Give us, who is Lance?
Gotcha. So I'm currently in San Antonio, Texas. Born and raised Texas. So Phillip, I always love talking to a fellow Texan. Always a good time. So I've been in real estate full time. It was kind of almost like in the middle of COVID, It was August of 21 specifically. I remember I had joined the Subto community back in May of 21, and it was 6 months before that as when, kind of in the middle of COVID, and I decided, since everybody was locked down, I was like, all right, I got to figure out something I can learn, I can do to keep myself busy. So I remember very specifically, it was November of 2020. I first read the word wholesaling from a Grant Cardone book. And then from all November, all of December, I just read everything I could, listened to everything I could, watched every podcast I could. And then come January 1st, I just jumped head straight into it. And I remember I got my first wholesale deal under contract and funded in the middle or the third week of February of 21. By luck, a blind squirrel, gets a nut every once in a while. And luckily within 6 or 7 weeks of jumping head first into it, I got the first wholesale deal. And after that, it just continued to snowball to where I watched the, I apologize, the podcast with Paige Jamil and Brent Daniels.
Wholesale Hotline.
PB&J. Yes, ma'am. I started watching that very consistently. It's like, okay, I need to get a better idea of how I can really streamline this. And I saw how all three of them had their own mentorships, communities. I was like, all right, in months down the line, back to, all right, I'm really connecting with Pace. So I'm looking into Subto. And then it was just May, jumped headfirst into it. A few months down the line, I joined the mastermind community in August of 21. I joined a team from a fellow mastermind student that I met there out of the DFW area, and been in real estate full time ever since. And then kind of fast tracking a little bit more, I joined the Gator community.
Yay.
It was the end of August of 22, kind of almost like a year later.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was doing that, I didn't do much with it. My own, I was more focused on the buy and hold side and my wholesaling business. But I did a few long-term PML deals all throughout 23.
Yeah.
And then I left it alone for a little bit. And towards the end of 23 again, it's like, all right, I want to get more into the lending space because I realized just the power behind that. And I remember very specifically December, I created all new holding company with subsidiary LLCs for that reason.
Yep.
And then fast tracked again. It just happens again in February. I completely stopped the wholesaling business, put a pause on the buy and hold business, and I've been in the transactional funding space full time ever since, to where I'm only funding EMD deals, double close deals, and Morby deals for the last 10 months or so.
That's
So
amazing.
it's been a struggle, as we all know. There's always ups and downs. It's always a roller coaster, but it's been a blast. And we all know we wouldn't be able to be in this space if we couldn't weather that storm. So luckily, you know, I'm on a good uphill with it. Well, except for this week. This week it's been a wild week, and I can get into deals regarding that, what's been happening this weekend deals wise. But no, it's been an absolute blast. So I have nothing to complain about.
I love it. And what you hear with Phillip said it, Lance said it. If you are new, they got in there, they were consistent, they showed up, and it gets tough in entrepreneurship, and you just don't give up, and you read all the stuff, and then you consistently taking massive action and failing forward. So I just wanted to point that out. You both said that. I love that. Okay, so let's talk about this closed deal that you have. Tell me all about this deal. Where is it? Where did you find it? What kind of deal is it?
So it was actually just a Morby method deal that I was the transactional funder for.
Okay.
So
what's a Morby method deal before we go forward for those of you guys, for those listeners that don't know?
So the easiest way to put it, because we all know it's a little bit complicated, it's kind of like a seller carryback deal, to where the seller carries a second note for the mortgage, to where a lender can come in, pay, let's just say for easy numbers, maybe your lender that you have, a DSCR lender, hard money lender, whatever happens to be, pays 70%. And then the homeowner then carries a note in the second position for the majority, for the rest of those funds, being that 30%.
Right.
And then how we structured it, I came in as the transactional lender, to where I funded the deal. Again, I don't remember the exact time. Let's just say 9-10 o'clock in the morning. And then, again, don't remember exact time. Let's say 3 or 4 o'clock later that day, I received the funds back same day plus the fee.
So that's called double close, right?
So and the way we structured it, it's very similar to a double close. That's correct. To where you're funding the deal same day and receiving the funds again same day. So that's completely correct.
Yes.
How I found the deal at the time, doing a lot of outreach, to be very honest, on Facebook, to where that same buyer, he's in my VIP borrowers list. I'm doing multiple deals with that same borrower on a monthly basis right now.
Nice.
And the cool thing is, another sub 2 student is also part of the deal, to where I didn't find that out till like honestly a month ago, to where he's part of his team, because we kind of like, we're not officially on any LLCs together or part of a team together, but there's like 4 or 5 of us that are all working the same transaction together. And I just realized a month ago it's another sub 2 student involved. Like, okay, that's awesome. See, that's why I love sub 2, to be very honest, because for a long time I was doing a lot of outreach. And very organically, I'd comment on somebody's post, DM somebody, whatever happened to be, and end up being, oh no, you're sub 2 student as well. And why I like that, because then you automatically have that family relationships. Okay, we already trust each other. We already know who each other are. We're in the same community. So that bond is built that much faster.
It's true. Yeah. And anyone in the sub 2 community, you know, they're a little, if there's any riffraff in the sub 2 community, they don't last long. So if they're in the sub 2 community, you usually know that it's a good filtering mechanism too.
It is completely.
It is. So sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
So, where it was, I'm going to be honest, that one, I think that was the one that was either in Oregon or California.
Okay.
And the homeowner actually was under foreclosure. So it's kind of the way we just kind of realized how Pace is structuring a lot of his deals also the exact same way, to where he's saving the house from foreclosure, paying off their arrears. And if they're qualified, of course, because we're always not trying to kick anybody out of the house, but if they're qualified to where they can still stay in the house and continue paying their mortgage, that's exactly what's happening. And that's exactly what happened with this deal. The person, had just under 20,000 in arrears. We're allowed to pay that off, but they got a new job to where they can start paying their mortgage again. They just couldn't pay obviously that big chunk to save the house from going under foreclosure. So now they are still in the house, still with his family, still paying, what he can to us. That way he's allowed to stay in the house. Because again, we're really not trying to put anybody on the street. That's not the business model by any means.
Right.
And made some profit out of it on the end as well.
So you were the lender in
Yes,
this. So you brought in. So let's talk about how much did you weren't the person that found the deal. You found a guy that had the deal, and then that person comes to you. And how much money did they need, and what was it going for this deal?
So it was going essentially like for the gap funds that he needed.
Okay.
And the amount he needed. I apologize. I don't remember the exact amount he needed. I remember altogether we ended up making 17,000 on that. Me personally apologize.
Nice.
The amount that he apologize, I don't remember. But I guess for everyone listening, how you can literally make either with a double close transaction or a mortgage method transaction, to where if you structure it correctly, making that amount of money is phenomenal, especially in the amount of 4, 5, 6 hours. Which that's life-changing. And then if you can
17,000 in how many hours? Like
say,
couple?
Let's say 4. Be generous about it.
4 hours. Not only is it not a full day's work, it's a half day's work in like the traditional W-2, 8 hours a day. $17,000.
Yes, ma'am.
That's amazing. So they needed to pay off the arrears. You brought that to the front.
Correct.
Then they closed with whoever now I'm confused. How did they pay you back real quick? Why did they double close?
So with the remaining funds of the lender's funds that they had, it was a hard money lender at that time, and that he knew that part of his funds were to pay me back.
Got it. So you brought in the money.
Being transparent, that way everybody knows.
Yes. Okay. So you bring in the money, and you're like, here, we'll pay all the arrears, You owned it for 4 hours. You were the buyer, and then you turned around and sold it back to the other guy, or you just brought the money. You just brought the money.
I just brought the money. Yes.
You just brought the money. So 4 hours, you paid it off. They turned around, went down the hallway, signed the papers with the hard money lender. They're like, thank you for your service, Lance. Here is $17,000 on top of what you sold, what you already borrowed to us. Have a great day.
That's correct.
How much actual work do you think you put into that? Like, you probably weren't working for those 4 hours while you were waiting. How many hours of your life did you take from your life to wire money over and sign papers?
Less than 30 minutes.
Damn. 30 minutes and $17,000.
Yes, ma'am.
That is how you Gator. And that is what we learn in Gator.
That's how you Gator. That's completely correct.
That is amazing.
And that's what I was trying to convey earlier, how life-changing that is. Going back to what Phillip was talking about earlier, it's just if we are consistent and just, hey, I like to say jokingly around, be too dumb to quit. That's just what it is.
Be delusional.
Exactly.
Live in delusion. Like, you got this, and you eventually will. That's amazing.
And see, the great thing is, I was talking to another individual a couple hours ago. At least we have proof of concept within the community that we know this method works. The exact analogy he gave to me, think of Jeff Bezos. He, for 10 years, people were telling him Amazon was not going to work, that no one was going to buy books online. It was an idiotic idea. Zero proof of concept. And 10 years, whatever happened to be. And he stuck it through. I will be the first one to admit I couldn't do that for 10 years with zero proof of concept from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But that point is simply not stopping, and you can go anywhere you want.
You can. Just you're the one that sets your own boundaries. I love it. That's amazing. You guys both are just killing it. I love it. Lee, my good friend Lee has a question. He says, I think this will be for Phillip because you got the VA loan. Can you explain how the VA entitlement works when they want to go buy a new house? So typically the Veterans Association gives them X amount that they can put towards a house. And if they still have it in their name, they can't go buy another house sometimes. So if your seller wants to go buy another house with a VA entitlement, how do they do that?
So they may not be able to, it depends on how much entitlement they have. And the way I understand it, Carly and Lee, is that the VA entitlement is basically to replace or in place of PMI, right? That's why they don't have to put money down. Yeah. So it's how much that the VA is actually insuring their loan if they were to default and lose their house to foreclosure, right? So we know, like with the conventional loan, if you put 20% down, you don't have to have PMI. Right? If
private mortgage insurance is what that stands for.
Correct. Yeah. Which is essentially insurance to cover the mortgage company in case you default and lose the house and there's a loss. So it covers that loss, right? And so that's essentially what it's about. They can get another VA loan. It just depends on how much entitlement they have left, because they may have not used all of their entitlement on that first mortgage, right? That they picked up. And here's the thing too, like with even with them, if we wouldn't have stepped in, they very well may have lost that house to foreclosure, right? And that wouldn't have been good for them. Will they be able to get another loan? Well, right now, no. His credit is shot. They were about to lose it to foreclosure, $16,000, $17,000 behind on payments. And if we would have bought it all cash and just paid that mortgage off, okay, that's great, but it didn't help their credit. It just showed that they were about to lose their house to foreclosure, and then it got paid off, right? And so by us bringing that mortgage current and keeping it current over the next 12 months, 14 months, however long it takes, it'll slowly start rebuilding his credit to where now when his divorce is behind him, he's got a job, he's back on his feet. A year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, he'll be able to get a loan again and to use his credit again because of what we're doing with that mortgage and keeping that mortgage on time. But I'm not an expert on the VA entitlements. All I know is that you can still take those loans subject to. It might just affect their ability to get another VA loan while we're still operating that one.
And I like to say every deal is different. So every VA loan is different. Someone might have a lot of entitlements. Someone might not have as many. But this is what we learned in Sub 2. You can, if you have questions about that, if you guys are interested in learning how to do these, you want to get into the nitty gritty of the VA entitlements and how they work, there are VA entitlement specialists in there. You want a Sub 2 and you're like, I have a question and I need help closing a VA loan. What do I do? And you got yourself a buddy and a JV partner, and they're going to help you close the deal. They'll make some money. So that's what's great about these communities. And same thing with Lance. He can go into the Gator community. You guys are both Gators, but like a Gator deal like this, if he's like, I need help, I don't know, and that's what's so great about these communities is you get all the support that you need in there. So amazing.
It's surprising, honestly, like how open people are and how helpful everybody in the community is. It's unheard of, right? It wasn't like this 20 years ago when I got started. I can tell you that.
Well, it's not like the internet, and not all communities are like this though. Because I've been in communities and they just are like, what's in it for me? Hoarding the information. Maybe you can paint, like it's just a different vibe, which is good.
Absolutely.
It is. Yeah. Well, thanks guys. I love hearing about your stories. I love hearing how you're helping people out of foreclosure and getting their credit up, how you're making $17,000 in literally like 30 seconds. That's amazing. Thanks for being here with me, you guys.
You're welcome. Anytime. Thanks for having us.
No, thank you for having me. Of course, it's definitely an honor. So it's much appreciated.
Yes. And Lance, how can people reach out to you? I don't know if we talked about that. If you guys want to learn from Lance and maybe you want to put your money to work or something, I don't know. How can people bring value to you, Lance? What do you need, and how can everybody watching bring you value and work with you?
So definitely by working with me, you can reach out definitely to the Instagram handle that's on the channel. I'd rather help everyone else out, to be honest. Every time people ask that question, I have a hard time because I've always been the guy, the whole lone wolf. I'm going to go down with the ship, not asking for help. I'm getting out of that mindset. I promise. But so just reach out and I'll have a conversation. I'd love to talk to everybody. So I've definitely had days where I'm on the phone talking to 15 different people on a regular basis. So reach out and I'd love to talk to whoever wants to talk.
I love it. Getting out of that lone wolf mentality is tough.
It took a while, but
it takes a minute. You got to do some deals and see how everyone wins and how it helps everyone, and then it kind of helps you bring you out of your cave.
Agreed. Definitely agree.
I love it. Thank you, Phillip. Thank you, Lance. It was amazing hearing your stories. Thank you for including me. It's an honor to be here.
You're welcome. Y'all are awesome.
You guys are rock stars. You guys crushed it. Carly, your questions are fantastic, but Lance and Phillip, you guys just ran with it. And of course, every time I'm in the back moderating, I'm taking some notes because I want to be rich like all of you would.
Derek, all four of us together.
Absolutely. That'll be awesome. But thank you guys so much. We love you guys. You guys are a blessing to the community. We're glad the community has been a blessing to you all. And once again, you guys have a wonderful Christmas and happy holidays to you guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Bye, guys.
See you guys. Have a good one.